Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for this all-day ongoing live coverage from CMA Industry Week. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and we are continuing with Gemsen Distribution. Let's go ahead and bring on the man behind Gemsen from a sales perspective, Mr. Dave Singh.
Hey, good to be back.
I didn't appreciate you leaving me, bro, in that last one. Like, where'd you go? You go eat something nice?
Well, I went out for lunch, had a nice,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Lucky you. I'm more interested in learning, though. I want to learn. And there's no question. If you look at that schedule, Dave, you've kind of etched out a big emphasis on marine audio. And as we can see from our schedule and the logo next to your head, we're going to go straight to the Kicker Unmasked Studios for part one of two presentations, because there is another presentation designated to Kicker Car Audio, of course. But this one is all about marine. Let's go to see our friends at Kicker. Hey!
Hello.
What's going on,
everyone.
guys?
It's Kip, your host for Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly. We are joining the CMA Industry Week. Be right back. Cold opens and all, here we are. It's my Kip, your host from Kicker Unmasked Live, and I've got my good friend, partner in crime, Mr. John Myers. We call him Dr. 12 Volt. John and I have been in the industry a very, very long time. We know we got a compressed session here, so we're going to try to cut right to the chase and get into this. Obviously, this is a 30-minute session dedicated to covering what's new from Kicker that's going to happen for you on the marine side of things, whether it's freshwater or salt, and there's no better guy we could have join us on the show to cover that topic than Mr. John Myers. It's going to be high level. If you got questions, as always, you can reach out to Kicker Social, you can reach out to Gemsen. We're here to answer your questions. With that said, John, what do we have new in Kicker Marine for 2021?
Oh, it's going to be crazy. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. And once again, when you're talking Kicker, you're talking about marine for your boat, your ATV, your car, from one end to the other. Stem to stern, audio all the way out. We've got everything you need, especially when it comes to marine. We've got 4 absolutely fantastic marine media centers. These media centers are going to both come round with the KMC2. If you like a square version, we have KMC3. Jump up to the KMC4, you're going to get multi-source. And of course, we got the KMC5, which is really cool. Now, all of them are powered at 25 watts by 4 at 4 ohms. When you get into the 4 and the 5, they're actually stable to 2 ohms. And the 5 has 6 powered zones, so 6 by 40 watts at 2 ohms. And that's got an actual Class D amp built in. And if you guys like lighting, there's these little LEDs around the perimeter that light up. And of course, to control your lighting, you got this wonderful Kicker KMLC, that lighting control, so you can actually control all your LEDs and make them be any color, any style, any fashion you want. New for this year, we got these wonderful illuminated RGB speaker rings. They're available in 6, 8, 10, and 12. We also have woofer grills, both in round and square, that are going to be illuminated, both gray and white. And of course, you got to talk about, woofers. We talk about grills. We've got 2 lines of woofers. We have the KM series of marine woofers. That's designed for a sealed or ported enclosure. Then we have the KMF. F stands for free air or infinite baffle. They're very different drivers. The free air actually has double the suspension capability, so it's got a stronger mechanical suspension, so it's really designed not to be used with an enclosure. And don't forget, we've also got L7s. They work great if you're going to put them in a sealed enclosure in a boat. They're also going to be available with, of course, the square grills, both with white and charcoal gray. So we really have, everything you need for woofers. The round woofers are available in a 10-inch and a 12-inch. Forgot to mention that. So we got a lot of woofers, and once again, we have a lot of information for you guys, going over a lot of it really, really quickly. Amplifiers to power those wonderful woofers. We have the KMA line. Now remember, all the Kicker products are going to be ABYC compatible, and what we mean by ABYC, first of all, that's kind of a special word. It might be a keyword. You might want to know that for later. But ABYC stands for American Boating and Yacht Council, and part of the NMMA, which is the National Marine Manufacturers Association. We design all our products so they're going to be compatible, and in some cases they're going to be certified by those sanctioning bodies to ensure when you put products in your boat, these speakers are going to handle the water, they're going to handle the salt, they're going to handle the vibrations, the amplifier is going to have the proper power connections, all your jacketing and all the wire is going to be marine rated. So once again, everything you need for the boat is going to be available from Kicker for your audio. So we talked about subwoofers, both round and square. We talked about the 4 different source units we have. We talked about some cool LED LED lighting with controls. You've also got to get the power from that source unit to the amplifiers. And of course, you're going to do nothing other than wire it up with Kicker wire. So we have Kicker patch cables available from 1 to 10 meters, which once again are ABYC and NMMA. You've also got a full selection of ring terminals. Ring terminals available at 8, 4, and 1/0 varieties. We have wonderful distribution and fuse blocks. Now this little fuse block we have here goes right along with this inline power fuse. So this will actually bolt directly to your battery, and it's got this great little sealed fuse, which is called an MRBF fuse. That is a watertight and airtight fuse. So if you happen to blow the fuse, if you've got it in an environment that has some fumes, say in an engine bay, this fuse, that spark will not be discharged to the atmosphere, and it's going to suppress any type of explosions you might have. And explosions in boats are bad, right?
Well, the thing with explosions on boat, and I'm glad you touched on that, John, is when you're 30 feet or 30 miles offshore, whether it's saltwater or freshwater, the last thing you want to deal with is bailing a fire out. Yeah. Having no help.
And you think you got water all around, that's no problem, but it really is a big problem.
Yeah, and inboard IO or inboard motor systems, you have the possibility to deal with fumes that are flammable. And so as you mentioned, this is a totally sealed fuse system. So if you were to pop a fuse, you do not have to worry about any chance of that spark causing any ignition of flammable vapors that may be down in your bilge area. And the other thing that's pretty cool about this, and I wanted to stretch this out a little bit, is, you know, in car, we've always talked about keeping the fuse, 12 to 18 inches away from the battery.
I ask you, remember those guys?
I remember those, yeah. I remember those guys. I remember them. But what's cool is on the marine side, if I remember right, the standard is actually, it's either 6 or 7 inches. They don't want it to even be able to come from the positive post of the battery and even touch the negative post. And as I look at this fuse holder, I want to point this out. I don't think you could get much closer to a battery than this.
It is the positive terminal at that point.
It is the positive terminal of the battery. So this is a very unique piece that we've tooled up. The fuses themselves, we didn't design the fuses. It is a Busman style fuse, and it is made for the marine industry application where you need a sealed application where you don't have to worry about it being an ignition source for any vapors that may be down in your...
Why don't you pull that fuse out of there? Just
sure.
Show them real quick.
Oh, you're going to make me do the work.
Yeah,
thanks. I appreciate it, John.
Hand. So just so you know, this is not a car audio fuse. Now, the cool thing is you can use these in a car audio application. They're not just for marine. In fact, I've used these on several installations just recently where I did want to have to mount an external fuse holder somewhere. We just bolt it right to the top of the battery. But this is the fuse. It's got a bottom and a top side, and the element is actually in between. It's completely water and airtight. So you connect this right to your battery, to the positive post of the battery. You run your wire out from there into your distribution block. And by gosh, I've got the positive distribution block right here. And this is set up for 3 of these fuses to go right to whatever amplifiers you happen to connect them to. The values on these fuses, they're available from 25 all the way up to 300 amps. So very good fuses, very safe. They're designed for the marine area, but once again, they work great in car audio as well. And of course, we got the ground distribution block to go with that. So great products, great fusing.
And I'm not aware of anyone else really in the 12-volt marine or mobile audio industry that's providing a fuse system like this. I think this is
no one
unique
right
to us
now
right
is.
now.
We were first to jump on that bandwagon. Like you said, we didn't design or invent this, but we certainly embrace it because it is absolutely the safest way to go. And that's what we're all about, fun and safety.
So I want to ask you some questions, John. I mean, I know we're doing a high level here. We just got 30 minutes to cram this in.
Yeah,
but
we
real
don't have
quick,
enough time, as you can tell. I'm kind of wound up, ready to go on all this.
So along with this, some people watching this may go, okay, I see your wire kit's yellow and red. Why is it yellow and red, John?
Yeah, great. Glad you mentioned that. Because of that ABYC and MMA, they basically designate the yellow wire to be ground wire and the red wire is power wire. Unlike our typical car audio where we're using the blue and the gray, we want to follow all the standards to make sure that, something happens and the Coast Guard has to get in, they know exactly what wire has what, polarity.
If they need to disconnect something, they want to know immediately what it is.
They want to know where the grounds are, where the positives are, and that's why we use the yellow and the red. And of course, the jacketing on the wire is all ABYC, compliant, so it's not going to deteriorate over time with salt water, fresh water, or anything else. And once again, we start talking about that 1/0 wire. I mean, 4,708 strands of wire in that. It's really, really good wire. We do offer that wire in 1/0, 4 gauge, and 8 gauge. So anywhere from a 20-foot bundle all the way up to 100-foot rolls in some cases.
And another thing to keep in mind with this wire, John, and I know you know all this, I'm kind of just pulling stuff out of you because we're trying to do as much as we can in the time frame, is this wire is 100% oxygen-free copper.
Absolutely.
And for the marine environment, and we've been doing this on the 12-volt side, which it helps and gives you the same benefit in a car or whatever you're doing, this is tin-plated.
Yes.
So that tin plating is what you use to fight corrosion in the marine environment. So this is built to a standard that is much higher than any wire that's out there.
Right, and exactly. And like you say, you know, we're talking about, you know, just really kind of behind the scenes, that copper clad aluminum stuff, that just, you know, that doesn't fly with us. It's not safe, and especially in a boat, aluminum corrodes, and you never want to put aluminum, especially in any power connections, on any audio device you have, because it takes a lot more of it, and you're really not saving anything by the time you're done. It sacrifices performance of the gear as well.
You know, CCA, the only thing CCA wire does, it makes your pocketbook happy. That's the only thing you save is a little bit of money. But when it comes to performance, you are sacrificing performance of your system by saving the dollars from moving from pure copper to a copper-covered aluminum product. So,
if you guys don't believe us, we got a video on the Kicker website. You can actually watch a video where we do a direct comparison between 8-gauge CCA and 8-gauge oxygen-free copper, and it's dramatic. 25% decrease in amplifier output just with the type of wire, and that's huge.
And the wire gets hot. The
Yeah,
CCA wire
really
physically gets hot. I mean,
where do you think that extra power goes? It's got to go somewhere.
It's resistance. It goes in the wire,
goes
comes out
into
through the covering. Okay, so I wanted to point that on the wire because I think it's a big deal, John, that this wiring product coming from us is really built to the standards that you need to be NMMA, ABYC, and Coast Guard compliant as far as what you need on that. And bringing up Coast Guard compliance, I'm going to focus on the KXMA amplifiers. Don't we do something special with the power and speaker terminals when it comes to connectivity?
Absolutely.
Just for
we'll
marine?
get into that in just a minute. We haven't finished talking about the wire, Kip. You're going faster than I am. We do offer a 4-gauge and 8-gauge power kit, which are complete power kits. The difference between your cardio power kit and your marine power kit, we have the same length of ground wire as we do power wire. Why do we have the same length of ground wire for marine kit?
Last I checked, there's not a very good ground plane in a boat.
Fiberglass just doesn't conduct
not so
electricity
much
as well. So yeah, you really need the same length of ground wire. So all these kits have the same length of power and ground wire to make sure you have everything you need to connect it. Now, let's jump into amplifiers real quick since Kip was alluding to that. We're going to start with the KMA amplifier line. This is pretty much where Kicker starts with our marine amplifiers, but they're still ABYC and MMA, or not certified, but they are compliant. So they do follow all those restrictions. So these amplifiers have conformally coded circuit boards. The controls and switches are sealed inside. And what's really nice about the KMA line, you get a huge variety of features. You get a lot of power. There's a 150-watt 2-channel. We've got a 360-watt 4-channel. We have a 600-watt 4-channel and a 600-watt 6-channel and an 800-watt mono amp in this series. So we've got a lot of different amplifiers. You can pair that up to any of your speaker combinations you need and still have a great value, but a very, very safe, marine functioning product that you're going to love in your boat for years and years to come.
So on those amplifiers, John, I'm sure some people out there will have the question, and it's hard to take questions. We're doing a live presentation, not getting that two-way feedback, but just so to answer it, what class are the amplifiers in the KX line?
You start talking about classes. I mean, when you start talking about power supply classes, I mean, these use the full range amplifiers are going to be class AB.
Okay.
The sub amp's going to be a class D section. D does not stand for digital. We're not going to go into that right now, but it is, one of the power supply classes that makes them a lot more efficient. So great amplifiers, but you still have some AB, which has been pretty much the industry standard for many, many years up until class D really started getting popular. And there's some other classes. There's class H, there's class T, all kinds of goofy things as well.
I want class K.
Yep, go for it. So these amplifiers are awesome. Like I say, they're going to be a great amplifier, but if you're looking for the best amplifier we offer, that's when you jump from the KMA to the KXMA. Now, this is similar to the KX car audio line with the exception that this is all now marine compliant with the connections. As Kip mentioned, and I don't know if our wonderful cameraman can zoom in on this and see this real carefully, but inside these connections, to make sure that this is marine compliant, that little set screw cannot directly contact the wire. So there's a little tab inside each one of these openings that the tab actually pushes on the copper strands with pressure from the set screw. So if you have any company out there that claims their amplifiers are marine compliant, they don't have those little tabs, we know that's not true. So we do that, and we also conformally coat all the circuit boards in the amplifier. So if water gets in, it just drains back out. And believe it or not, these actually have drain holes in the amplifiers to let that excess water escape. Now, to keep it from going in, we got covers over the RCAs, and we got this real nice little cover on the front, which is another thing I really like to point out about the KXMA amplifier line. And as you mentioned, talking about classes, these are all full range class D.
That's what I was trying to point out.
That's where you were going to.
Exactly.
So they're going to be marine compliant. They're full range class D. All the KXMA KXMA amplifiers use a 24 dB per octave crossover high pass and low pass. These use a 12 dB high pass and a 24 low pass. The other nice thing about the KXMA amplifier lines, they have band pass capability. So you have high pass and low pass for all the channels. So that means you've got a variable infrasonic or subsonic filter on the subsection. This amplifier happens to be the 900.5. That's 900 watts of total output power into 5 channels. So that subwoofer has a band pass crossover, which means I can set the really, really low frequency cutoff. If you're doing an infinite baffle application, you got to protect that woofer from over excursions. And you can set the crossover point on the upper end so you can tailor it to how much mid bass or how much punch you want out of it. Now, to control that subwoofer, in the past, we've actually had a wireless or a Bluetooth controller. What we've done for this year is we've gone back to a wired bass remote for the subwoofer section. Now, we don't like to call it a subwoofer gain because it's not truly a gain, it's merely an adjustment. If it was a gain, it would actually bypass the gain on the front of the amplifier, and it just doesn't do that. So wherever you set the gain on the amplifier, that subwoofer level control will allow you to turn it up from that point or back down to where you want it. Now, talking about gain control, something else that's really important about the KXA and the KXMA amplifier line, we talk about how important it is to set the gain structure. Now, we all know that the gain is not a volume control, right?
Correct.
So what a lot of people don't understand is an amplifier, of any amplifier Kicker has ever offered, you can get the maximum output out of the amplifier, unclipped maximum output with the gain control in the minimum position. It just takes more voltage going into the amplifier to do that. So the gain control does not limit the output, it's merely a matching device. So in the past, we've told you you need a setup CD, you need an oscilloscope, you need a tone generator, you need a voltmeter, which are all great ways to set up gain controls. But a lot of your do-it-yourselfer guys out in the field, they don't have those tools.
No.
And they don't know how to use them.
Absolutely.
So we've incorporated a really special circuitry on the gain control that you'll go to the Kicker website under the support tab, kicker.com. You're going to download the test tones. You either want to download a 50 hertz test tone or a 1000 hertz test tone or a 1 kilohertz test tone, and you'll play that through your source unit at 3/4 volume. So turn your source unit, whether it's one of our media centers or say you're just general aftermarket, marine radio that's in there, whatever it happened to come with, turn that source unit up to 3/4 volume, play that test tone, start turning up that gain control on the amplifier until you see that control, and yes, the control actually lights up red. What happens when you see a red light? What do you normally do? What are you supposed to do?
Well, you're supposed to stop.
Exactly.
But you've taught me otherwise, John.
I know. Don't talk about my driving. This is not the place to talk about that. So yes, once you start turning up that gain control and that red light comes on, that means stop. Don't turn that control up any farther, but back it off just to, as our good friend Ernie would say, back it off just a titch till that light goes off. Now you've perfectly matched your source unit to the amplifier, and you don't have to worry about clipping and distortion damaging your speakers. And you want to do that with all 3 sections on this 5-channel. You want to do it with the subwoofer section, you want to do it with the amp 1 and the amp 2 output, all of them independently, and of course any other amplifiers you have as well. Set them all up the same. That way when you get to 3/4 volume on your source unit, all your amplifiers at their maximum clean output all at the same time. Not one is going to clip before the other one.
So obviously that auto gain setup that you can do, that is also obviously a step-up feature from when you move from KX to KXMA.
Exactly. So another step-up feature, me being an installer after all these years, one of the things I really like about the KXMA is, as you can see, we've got all the controls on the front, and since this is ABYC compliant, we've got this nice foam gasket that when you screw these screws down, it's going to help deter water from getting inside. But if it does, it's okay because it's compliant with coated circuit boards.
Right.
So this amplifier is really awesome for that, and I really like the fact that you have controls on one side, connections on the other. Not talking bad about this, but we actually have connections on both sides, so this is going to offer a little bit cleaner installation, and once again, everything's on one side, makes it really easy to adjust and connect. Awesome amplifiers, they sound good, they look good. In the KXMA amplifier line, we've got a 400 watt 4-channel, we've got an 800 watt 4-channel, we've got an 800 watt 8-channel, we have, of course, the 900 watt 5-channel, and I lied there. We actually have a 500 watt 4-channel. It went up this year from last year. I
made it bigger.
Forgetting about that.
It doesn't want bigger.
It's more gooder for the same price. And not to mention, if you're going to be powering some really, really powerful full range speakers, such as we're tapping on right next to me, this is the what we like to call our flagship Marine speakers, just to touch on them real quick. These are the KXMRLC. These speakers come in a 9-inch and 11-inch. They use this wonderful compression driver, which uses a 1 3/4-inch diaphragm. These are available in black and white in a 9-inch and 11-inch, ultra-high sensitivity, 92 dB and 93 dB on the 11-inch. These things are designed to run at 300 watts maximum input, and we offer a KXMA amplifier that's perfectly matched. That's the KXMA 1200.2. At 4 ohms, it's 300 per channel, perfect for a pair of the 9-inch or 11-inch. And at 2 ohms, if you parallel another set, that amplifier will do 600 watts at 2 ohms per channel or 300 watts per pair. Now, in the past, we've had those great little mounting brackets that you hang these speakers on bars, but not all the boats out there use a bar style mount anymore. So we've actually introduced this mount here, which is the flat mount. This is CAM FLC, and the F stands for flat or factory mount. So this little hockey puck that you have in your hand, Kip, you'll mount that to the mounting surface, whether it's a factory bar or a flat surface. Once that's mounted, you'll slide the speaker up into place. You got 4 set screws that come in from the sides to lock either this 9 or 11-inch can in place. And if you guys have not heard these speakers, they are phenomenal. And don't forget, they have LED lighting built in too, so you can use this wonderful little controller to tie those into your head unit, your speaker rings, and your subwoofer as well.
And you're out of time.
I am. I figured that was going to go quick. I think we almost got through all of it.
I don't know if we got time for questions, Ben or David, but that's, we're compressing a lot of information into a 30-minute window there, but hopefully that gives you a good overview of the Kicker Marine line. And if you've got anything to add or questions, we're here for you.
First of all, I got to commend you guys on that presentation. That was ridiculously efficient, and that was more gooder than a lot of the ones I've seen so far, first and foremost. The second thing is, I really want to comment on that cabling system. I think that is industry leading, that you guys are doing that with the certification and matching with what conforms in the marine environment. So kudos on that one for sure. The amplifiers look fantastic, and I love how you've separated those into 2 series. And could you hold that sub in front of you up, Kip? I just want to...
Yep.
Folks, that is a monster piece right there. Look at that. No, not that one. The one in front of you. Is that a speaker or what is that?
The tower can.
I'm sorry, the tower can. I meant tower can. Look at that thing. Wow.
That's the KMLC.
This is the KMFC 11, so this is the 11-inch version. The FC, as John said, stands for flat mount, so this goes onto a lot of flat or factory mount systems. We also offer this exact same speaker with the tower clamps, so that's a KMTC. So same speaker, same components, but we offer it in 2 mounting versions, so there's really no boat out there that we cannot get you that great kicker sound and go with these. And these are not only great sounding, but they are extremely loud. I mean, if you want to be able to hear your music 75 foot behind the boat on a tow rope, or if you're just wanting to have a party down at Party Cove, this is definitely the speaker you want to go with.
Kip, if you turn those on, I think we'll hear them in Canada.
You probably will.
You probably haven't, you didn't even know it.
Can I see the back of those? Can I see the back of those? Oh, there you go. Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice. Sweet.
Spinning that thing around.
When you see it all put together, unfortunately, you don't get the appreciation for the engineering on that driver, because that horn system, the motor assembly, actually goes through the woofer itself and comes out the back. It's a really cool looking design.
Yeah, that looks very different from anything I've seen so far. Hey, you mentioned keyword. What was the keyword, Dave?
Keyword was ABYC. Really
American
important.
Boating and Yacht Council.
Absolutely. And
ABIC.
There you go.
Real quick, Dave. You have 1 minute to sum up Kicker Marine and Gemsen, and I'm going to throw up this image for you too.
Well, I don't talk nearly as fast as those guys do, and they did a phenomenal job. If you got paid by the word, you guys would be millionaires. That's for sure. So, so definitely use a keyword. We have different ways of entering to win some cool prizes that we're going to give away at the end of the month. We're calling it the Watch to Win. Keyword is ABYC. You can submit that online. There's some links in the Facebook chat as well. And also for anybody that wants to do any sort of order, whether it's kicker, whether it's wiring, whether it's whatever else that we carry at Gemsen, you can do that online on our new dealer portal. Use the promo code CMAIW5, and you'll save yourself an extra 5%. Keep in mind, for anybody that watches these trainings sooner than later, if you submit your keywords before April 5th, you're going to get double the amount of entries. We got some awesome, cool prizes from Kicker, from Sirius, Satellite, all kinds of guys. You don't want to miss out on that opportunity.
Wow, great spiel. And Team Kicker, Kip, and you know what? Thank you for making Marine this year more gooder.
Awesome job, guys. Thank you so
Take
much.
care. We'll see you back for 12. We'll see you back for car audio, though. Don't go away. We'll see you back for car audio.
See you
Definitely
soon.
don't want to miss that, guys.
No, definitely not. Cheers. Let me go back here. And Dave, we're going to sign off. We got to go. We'll see you back in a few.
See you in a minute.
Talk to you in a bit. There you go, guys. That is Kicker Marine, courtesy of Gemsen Distribution here in Canada. That's the end of this session. Don't you dare go away. We got so much more learning to do with Gemsen on this Day 6 live coverage of CMA Industry Week. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.